What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Trainman Report. Now, okay, the train noises have just stopped. I know they were still playing. You were wondering why you could still hear it, but I was having trouble closing my tab. I digress. My name is Holden Stephan Roy. We have the Trainman, Alex Montagano, here. This is the Trainman Report, and we are joined for a very special first on the Trainman Report. The first is we have two guests at once. That has never happened before, as This is episode 18. We are still discovering the first that we can bring to the table. But we are joined by Michael Montague and Joe Neuhaus. I hope I said that correctly. And we're going to be learning some real Montreal history, and you should check the description of the video and check out the book Life's Undercard by Michael Montague. Already off jump and go buy that and show some support, because this is a book promotional podcast. And so hint if you want to come on the Trainman Report and promote whatever NDG kind of stuff that you're up to, you can hit us up and we can get that going as well. Make sure to subscribe, and this is a live show, so if you are watching this, make sure to leave some comments in the chat, and we will get back to you as we go through it in real time. So on that note, Alex, why don't you introduce our guest and take it away?
Very, very excited about today's show. I have here Michael Montague and Joe Neuhaus, and very interesting how it all connects together in this world, in this life, in NDG. And this is part of a kind of exploratory adventure that I've been on. I've been reading a lot of books about Montreal history, and that is continuing. And it's also tied to my recent meeting with Guy Rex Rogers, who made a film called What We Choose to Remember. And I'm very, very excited to announce that we will be having an NDG screening of that film at the Legion here in NDG on the 25th of April at 7 p.m. So Michael and Joe, I hope you can come out. You can come there and talk about your book and promote it, hopefully sell some copies. And it's all about celebrating our history, celebrating Montreal's history, and celebrating ourselves in the process, because we are a product of our past, present, and that dictates our future, right? So I'm very, very excited. And then I want to get to this book. So Michael Montague, you wrote a book along with Joe about Montreal in the 40s and 50s, and it's basically the story of you as a young man. So let's take a look at the book here. And here we have a picture of you, Michael. Why don't we just start the interview by you framing the context of the photo that's on this book? Because I know there's a story behind that, just as much as there's a story behind how I became aware of this book. And I became aware of this book through poker, Texas Hold'em. And ironically, the book's title is Life's Undercard. So Michael, talk to us. Tell us about your book here. Tell us about that picture.
Okay, that picture there is about me graduating and graduating at Dawson College, not
Mhm.
Dawson College, at James Ling High School.
Really?
Graduating at James Ling High School at 75 years of age. That's fantastic for me. I surprised myself.
That's fantastic. And
Pardon me?
what motivated you to,
Well, I've always thought way back in my mind, I never got there, but way back in my mind, I've always wanted to graduate.
I see. I
I
see.
just never did, but way back in my mind, I saw the opportunity.
Mhm.
Saw the opportunity, and some people were talking about James Ling High School.
Mhm.
So I went there on my pension and went there to James Ling and graduated with honors.
Yeah, if you let me jump in here, Mike, just for a moment. When I first met Mike, it took him 5 years before we started writing this book.
Mhm.
And during that time, when we were waiting to actually start writing the book, one of his goals was to graduate high school. And I think if anybody reads this book and reads about his childhood in Montreal,
Mhm.
you'll understand why it was so important for him to hold that diploma and know that he accomplished something that I think in large part was denied to him when he was younger.
There we go. That's about it. It's in that area.
So when you say that, I read the book, and at the end of the book, you kind of make the statement that high school couldn't compete with girls and driving fast cars.
Right.
Is that kind of like what happened like back then? And
Well, yeah, it's almost the same, but as a senior.
I see.
But it's almost the same, the girls, everybody was pleasant. The students were tickled with me about being in high school. So I felt pretty young. I almost felt like I belonged there.
So I'm guessing you were the oldest student in the class.
Yes, I was, yeah. And I felt very young because everybody sort of accepted me. They had enjoyed seeing me around and seeing a guy my age trying to get a diploma. So I inspired a lot of the younger generation there, and didn't realize how much inspiration that I was sending. I didn't realize that.
Well, that's
Me.
great. That's a feat in itself. So just to put a little bit of a background on the book, you are the son of an Irish woman, and you say she was from Dublin, and a Jamaican father. And one of the reasons why it was absolutely necessary for me to wear my Trainman get up this evening is because your father was a porter for CNA.
And that would impress me. Yeah.
Yeah. And your father was also a card player, a successful one.
Yeah, yes, he was.
And you spent a brief amount of time in a French orphanage, so that's why you were able to speak both French and English. And do you still speak French and English?
Yeah, I spoke French first. I couldn't speak a word of English.
I see.
As a young child, I was in the orphanage.
Right.
And they all spoke French. I could not speak a word of English.
Excellent. And then there's this beautiful, throughout the whole book, there's this beautiful understory that I found with your relationship with Mommy Libby. Mommy Libby was a Cherokee Indian, and she embraced you, and there was you didn't ever in the book ever question her devoted love to you. It was really quite something. Is that, am I capturing that properly?
Most definitely was unconditional.
Yeah.
Unconditional love. And she put me in her arms. I felt like I said, well, I'm safe for a change. For one time I felt safe. She was a huge woman, grade 3 education, not well educated,
right,
but full of love. 200-pound woman, 5'3" or 5'4", and gave me the unconditional love that I've never thought that I would ever get in my entire life.
And one of the things that I'm sorry, Holden, you wanted to add something? Okay. And one of the things that I was kind of fascinated, because I'm from French, Irish, and Italian heritage.
Fantastic.
And when I read your book, it's like my father used to talk when he was back in the 40s in the same era that you lived in. he used to hang out with the Poles and go to the Polish, the Polish socials and the dances. And when I was reading your book, like there was Russians, Polish, you had Russian friends, you had Polish friends, English, French, Irish, French, Italian. I'm missing somebody, aren't I? Like there's the West Indian community, right?
Right. It was quite a concoction. It was quite a concoction.
So just to add context, this is like your the time period is like the 40s and 50s in Montreal back in the day. And Alex, you're trying to illustrate that this is a multicultural and diverse place. I'm just trying to make sure I'm following.
Thank you so much.
50s.
Yeah, so talk to me about that. Like in the back of the book, right? I read the write up, and it talks of like, you're living in a city and you face a discrimination, class, and poverty and stuff like that. But I have to be honest with you. When I was reading the book, there was a reference to some of the discrimination that your father experienced from Americans from down south as a porter, but I never really got the sense that among you and your friends there was really any like animosity or like racist kind of or prejudicial kind of feelings among you. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, because it was different. These were habitant people, French, predominantly French.
Right.
And they were habitants. They were like big, large families of 14, 10,
right.
12. And they saw me as being one of them. I never had that problem. That was used to invite me in their home like I was family. So these were habitant people. I just hung with them. I never even thought myself that I was black. I never thought. I saw myself as a habitant.
Right.
And I was young, 5 years old, 6, 7 years old. I couldn't speak a word of English.
Right.
And they made me feel like I was one of them. I never had too much animosity or problems with that. Very few, the habitants family. I would get that problem maybe if I went to juvenile court or something where I had another different environment of bad kids or whatever.
Right.
Then I'd have that problem maybe. There would be the use vulgar words, about me and my color and my race. But these families were just so close knit, and they made me a part of them. They had my back. If I got into a fight, they would back me up. These habitat people were like really, really home-like, habitat. Very, very. Not, I wouldn't say Quebecois. I'd say habitat.
I was gonna ask, can you like define that term? Like, I don't think I've actually heard anybody use it to describe people before. I know that might sound preposterous, but
that's a very good
what
question.
is a habitant versus a Quebecois in your opinion?
Well, habitat is from, you would say, countrified, like Alabama, Mississippi.
Right.
The Mason-Dixie line. Habitat, rednecks and all that.
Right.
So the habitat will be that kind of French, close knit, and staying in within their culture,
And were these people were they like living in Montreal, or was it like on the outskirts?
They were on the outskirts, so then I would say in the habitat element, I would say that. And they were very close knit. They would stay to themselves a lot. They were never like localized, like local people. Staying in Brooklyn, and they would stay. They wouldn't go out of their element.
I asked my dad, Michael, what it was like back then, because he lived among the Poles, the Irish, the Italians, and in Villemard. Villemard was his stomping ground. You're more of the little bit
East End, the red light district in that area.
Okay, and so East End, but I'm thinking also you were in the Saint Henri as well, right? No,
yeah, that was after. I was in Saint Henri after.
Okay,
that was very French then too.
Right. So
Saint Henri district.
When I talked to my dad about back in that time, it says, well, how did you guys get along with the French and the Irish and all that kind of stuff? And because he was the child of immigrant parents, right? He's Italian, right? And his response back to me was, well, you know, the French were like us, right? We were like the working class, the working stiffs, and
Exactly.
you know, we got along. We didn't fight with each other. It's not
No,
like
no, we got along very well.
it's not like we were exploiting each other, right?
Right?
Does that reflect
Exactly.
also? It's the
That's
same thing for
exactly how it
you.
was. Right. It was
Yeah.
close knit, and we got along very well.
Isn't that
That's
interesting?
how that went. And it
And
was like, well, to me, the district that I was in, it was a red light district. There was a high crime rate there, and everybody looked for each other. So you didn't go into their area. Certain places you couldn't go, and
Mhm,
especially in the early 50s,
mhm,
the late 40s,
mhm,
you had a lot of high crime rate.
mhm,
But we stayed close knit. We didn't go out of bounds,
mhm.
but we helped each other, and
So, like,
that we protected each other.
my
Yeah.
understanding
Well, we
is
fought
that
among each other.
people didn't really travel across Montreal the way they do now. People kind of stayed in whatever neighborhoods they were in.
Yes, stayed local,
Right.
and then they would look out for each other.
Now, one of the things Michael, I've got to like be honest with you, and like I'm kind of a little jealous and surprised about it. Is I read it when I was reading your book, I was shocked at the amount of like free ice cream, hot dogs, and Coke you
Yeah,
got from a
yeah,
variety of different merchants and local
yeah.
suppliers. You really had seemed to develop these really close and like respectful relationships with the local establishments. And I've never received a free hot dog or a free Coke from a restaurant in my entire life.
Yeah,
So,
I can.
can you explain how that happened to you? I don't understand.
Well, I was street smart in French.
Right,
I was a French street smart kid.
right,
I was fluent in French. I could
right.
not speak a word of English, so I had a way of getting around all over. And
I see.
They were amazed with a guy like me that spoke the French that I spoke. I spoke their kind of lingo,
Right.
and they were happy to give me something. They would give me a hot dog or a tomato, and I would run around with 4 or 5 other kids, my best friends,
Right.
which was Tiny and Martin.
Right. Right.
And these guys were my right arm.
Right.
Tiny and Martin with me, he didn't see me as a black guy. He saw me as a French guy, like him.
Right.
It was different. We're local. We stayed very local. And I didn't see my identity until much later. I still remained French
Oh,
till
so
I
you identified as a francophone when you were
francophone, exactly.
okay,
I was
but
more
Mommy Libby spoke English to you,
not a
right?
word. Yeah, Mommy Libby didn't speak a word of French.
Okay,
but
so
yeah, go ahead.
no, it's interesting, like that you were able to develop these relationships with these like businesses. And I should tell people who are listening to the show, the book is very focused on. I think it ends when you turn like 14 or something, 13, 14. Is that correct?
19.
Oh, 19 years old. Okay. So, but it kind of jumps from 12, 13, 14 to 19 really quickly.
Yeah,
And
right.
I was always in shock because I'm reading the book and it's like, how does this guy remember this stuff? I don't remember anything from when very little from when 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. What explains the exactitude of your memory? Like you remember going to somebody's house and you remember the conversations had and you remember that you received an ice cream in the process. How I don't understand. How do you remember that stuff?
Survival of the fittest, and I fit right in. I spoke their lingo.
Yeah, but you must have an excellent memory, though. Is that one of
Yeah.
the reasons
Well,
why you go
how I
ahead?
remember because they treated me so well that I could never forget how warm and how warm and friendly these people were to me, and accepting me as one of them.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to maybe point out here is part of this. I think the process helped bring out a lot of these details that you're marveling about.
Yes.
Michael would write a first pass. I would transcribe it. And then I would sit with Michael and I would ask him details about things that he would write. and then he would fill in lots more. He'd add more flesh to the bone, if you will. So I think the process that we went through kind of resulted in thinking, oh, this guy has an incredibly amazing memory. But if somebody sat down with you and talked to you about a particular day or a friend and started prompting you and pulling out detail after detail after detail and then wrote it down, it would seem like you had a wonderful memory as well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come out all at once.
Right.
It comes out over 4 or 5
Fair
years.
enough.
There's definitely ways to make Alex remember specific details of childhood that he doesn't think of now. It's like you're following the schemas of related content, so you try to figure out ways to almost tackle the memory from different angles, and you do it a little subtly, and the next thing you know, your subconscious is just, remembering stuff.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't have these markers of free ice cream and Cokes and hot dogs.
It's a brainstorm.
I'm sure there's some train-related stuff
like
from back in the day.
My life, right?
Yeah, it's a brainstorm.
They're like little pins that have been dropped over the timeline of free hot dogs and ice cream. Oh yeah, I got that free ice cream hot dog there, and it leads to a story. See, that's the difference between him and
survival. That's how we would finagle something.
Okay, so when I read your book, and I think I discussed this earlier with you off camera, is that there's a lot of historical Facebook groups in Montreal on related to like nostalgia. People looking at photos of the 40s and 50s actually is quite prominent. And in your book, you talk about these establishments. It's constant. It's always around you, like pool halls, like the Montreal Pool Hall. You went there on a regular basis. Jake's Pool Hall. You talk about the Paradise Club. You talk about
Rockhead's Paradise.
What's that?
Rockhead's Paradise. Rockhead's Paradise.
That's right. Okay. So what we're gonna do now, okay? You're gonna do a fun exercise. Are you ready, Holden?
Okay.
Yes.
Let's pull up some pictures here. Okay. Tell me if any of these things you recognize these photos. Here we go.
1 second.
Boom. Do you know who that is, Michael?
That's the middleweight champion, light heavy middleweight champion of Canada.
Right.
It was Charlie Chase.
Right.
And this guy was my best friend.
Wow.
And when I first saw him, I was fascinated because I always wanted to be a boxer. And this guy he inspired me so much and was so inspired by him. And he was really a tough cookie. He was, and at that time, during that time, and we're talking about in the early 50s, in the 40s. At that time, there was a lot of racism there. And it was very, very intense. And he was one guy that made me identify with my identity as physically, because I always wanted to be a boxer. And he inspired me a lot. He inspired me tremendously. Charlie Chase, champion of Canada.
Is that the
that
boxer?
Rings a bell. That really rings a bell. I'll never forget.
Is that the boxer that gave like a rookie cop a beating?
Knocked him.
Huh?
Knocked him out. Yeah, rookie cop. He knocked him out cold.
And why was that?
It was because he was racist. He called him a name.
Okay.
His name, and Charlie just exploded, and he ended up in the clink for that. He ended up going to jail for that, but he knocked him out cold. It was amazing.
I guess he had it coming, right there.
Yeah, because he said the wrong thing to the wrong guy.
Holden, this is Golden Gloves, right? There was a Golden Gloves League, right? And they trained at the Olympic gym, supposedly. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, the Olympic gym on Park Avenue.
So
theater.
I want you to pull up that video. Do you see that video?
Yeah, that's my dad's strains, man. Those strains. I remember that.
So here we go. Do we have any sound on that there, Holden? Oh, that's too bad. We need sound.
the St. Henry Marshalling
Okay.
Yards in Montreal.
Do you know these guys?
It's early morning.
Yes, I do. All
The
right,
Jones
all right.
brothers are in
Yes, I
training
do.
for the
There
Golden
was a,
Gloves
this is an
Championship.
NFB short
They live
called The
nearby.
Golden Gloves.
Ronald is
And
20.
this guy here,
Arthur's 17.
who are these guys again?
That's Arthur Jones and Leslie Jones and Ronald Jones.
That's correct. That's correct. You know
See, I know
them.
these boxers, man. I used to go to the gym and with them.
And that's a switch station that you just saw there.
Yeah, that's Arthur Jones.
There's a diesel locomotives.
That's a long time ago. That there is Ronald.
Yeah.
Ronald Jones.
So you know these guys.
Yes, I know them.
So Ronald Jones, in this film, Golden Gloves, I don't have the end of the film because it's a long film. I can't like consume the whole interview on the film. But at the end, he wins his fight. Like he knocks out the guy cold. What was he? What was he? Middleweight champion? What was he?
Yeah, he was middleweight. He was middleweight, and he fought with a professional. Wolfie Jones. The thing was, he fought the guy beat him. I think the guy beat him. They had a title fight, and his name was Wolfie something, Wolfie Jones, and Ronald Jones underestimated him, and the guy hit him so hard that he was never the same after that, and he gave up boxing. He gave it up because he underestimated the guy. At that time, you never underestimate your opponent. And a lot of guys lose their fight like that by underestimating their opponent. Charlie did the same thing. He didn't train near the end, and if you don't keep staying in shape, and you never underestimate your opponent. But that you run that to me again, that Ronald Jones thing again. It's amazing. I know these two guys well. Ronald,
I'll definitely get you that video after.
I know these two guys well.
What I'll do is I'll send you Michael. Michael, could you do us a favor and sit up a little bit because you're cut off. There we go. So we're gonna go through some.
We're gonna keep going through them just so that we don't spend too much time on each one. Alex sent me like 25 photos. So.
Yes, and these were given to me, a lot of them by Gilles Durand. Gilles Durand is one of the major administrators of historical page. Is this the crystal? Is this the crystal pool hall you kept on talking about?
Yes, that's it. Then there used to be steamed hot dogs. Used to be cabbage and mustard. Steamed hot dogs. The Crystal Theater. That's it right there, and it really rings a bell. It's amazing. It is now a strip joint. It's no longer a hot dog place, but that's where the pool room was upstairs.
So there was a pool room. There was a theater in the bottom, a pool room upstairs.
There's a pool room upstairs.
And where was that located? And hot dogs.
On St. Lawrence, Maine. On St. Lawrence, Maine.
Free hot dogs.
Yeah, on Maine. I used to get them free because they knew me. I was a regular.
And you had some way of seeing the movies for free too. You used to go through the back door, right?
Yeah, in the back door.
All right, next picture though, Holden. This is too much fun. Yeah, we gotta cycle through these here.
Don't give away the whole book, Alex.
What's this?
You guys got.
That's it.
Who is that?
Now it's different, but that's the new one. That's the new Montreal pool.
Okay, go to the shot of the Montreal Billard. You know, there's a
shot
of.
We're just gonna go through them in
all
order.
Right. Okay, let's go next one. Sorry.
That's
okay. There's a reason why I posted this, because in your book, I'm gonna read it. You mind? Yeah, I'm gonna read it.
Sure.
I'm gonna read a passage, because you're supposed to do this. Supposedly, you're supposed to read passages, and I have one I want to read for you, and I changed and I'm looking for it.
Go, Alex.
I should have had it better ready. Yeah, here it is.
All the pressure is on now.
Got it. Ready?
Yes.
Riding with Tiny. When we got to the lookout, there were tourists from England taking pictures. They were impressed at how well we handled our horses. They said we were too young to ride such big animals and asked if we'd take our picture. Tiny and I posed with our 6 shooters pointed at them. They said they were the smallest cowboys in North America. And then here you talk about your horse, your horse was Madonna.
Madonna, French horse.
And it was a French horse. That's
Yeah.
right. You said dépêche-toi. And being a
Yeah.
French horse, she knew what I wanted and ran faster. I would scratch her behind the ear and tell her what a good horse she was. She would respond by snorting and pawing the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you say here, about a month after seeing those English tourists, I received a letter written in French with a photograph of me and Tiny on our horses holding our toy pistols.
Yeah.
Mommy Libby
Amazing.
put that photograph in the family album. Later, when Tiny saw it, he said that he would never have gone horseback riding if it weren't for me.
Yeah,
So this,
yeah.
this is why I asked for this photo of people riding horses on the Mount Royal in the 50s
That's
and 60s.
fantastic. I see myself there, me, Tiny, and Martin right now. What I'm looking at is me, Tiny, and Martin on the horse. That's
All
great.
right.
Fantastic.
Next there, Holden.
Oops, one sec.
This looked like a photo from the 50s and 60s, and I thought maybe it would like spark a memory.
I'm familiar with that.
What's that?
Eden's department store. That's 40s and 50s. I'm familiar with that.
So one of the things that comes up in the book, right, is that you're involved in, shenanigans involving the lifting and some thievery there related to manufactured goods. And
Yeah.
was this part of your circuit, the Eden store downtown?
Yeah, those are one of my hangouts. Yeah, that's one
Excellent.
of my
Excellent.
Eden's department store was one of my hangouts. We used to make a pit stop there, and you know what, and get caught sometimes and not get caught. It was very familiar how I used to go down there as a young boy, and we used to hit department Eaton's and Simpsons and Morgan's at that time. Back in the day, it was Morgan's.
And the question again, Michael, we're losing you in the camera. Could you just move a little bit closer to Joe? There we go. And
Alex, I can assure you, with the pictures up, nobody can. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Let the man be comfy until the pictures are down.
I apologize. So I have a question for you, Michael. Like when I read the book and you talk about your exploits and going in stores and
stealing.
Let's just say stealing, sure. Okay. I never got the sense that you stole because you needed it. It was more like it was like almost like an adventure, a trip. Is that a fair statement?
The excitement, and the adrenaline. Yes.
What motivated you to do that?
Well, don't forget we had me. I knew that my friend there. He did that too, and we all three of us, we did that. It was a thing that we did to just to see if we can get away with it. But then at the same time, we would make $5, $6, which is a lot of money for us at that time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we had it down to a T. We had that down pat.
Right.
For us to start a car, it was no problem. I start a car in 2 seconds to steal a car and go 4 blocks away and get out.
Right.
So it was easily, at that time, we all did that.
Right.
So it's familiar. It's very familiar. And from that time, and that's like 58, 59, up to the late 50s.
Next photo there, Holden.
Late 50s, and we really had quite a time there. There were 3 or 4 of us.
I mean, it's a good entrepreneurial endeavor. You get the clothes from the Eaton Center, you bring it back to the hood, and then you distribute it to the friends. Plus, you're the hero now.
Exactly.
Not only are you getting the thrill, you get the extra thrill because you're the man. You're the one giving
exactly, and you get a cash flow.
Clothing, Alex. You gotta look fly. It's important stuff.
All I can think of is free hot dogs and Cokes.
Gotta look fly, yeah.
You just
next photo, please. There we go.
That's the original.
That's the original pool hall. Okay.
That's the original pool hall, and that's where I got the free hot dog.
Okay.
Nice.
And you always used to comment It came over and over that the pool hall, what was nice about the pool hall is they kept the billiard tables really clean.
Yes, fantastic. They kept it very, very clean, and they welcomed me. They would tell me when they saw me, they would give me. I wasn't actually of age. I was underage. I was, 10 years old, 9 years old, playing pool, 11 years old.
Right.
But the guy liked me. Nick was the guy that liked me, the manager of the Montreal pool room.
Mhm.
And that there, Alex, is the red light district.
I see.
There's so much stuff going on there, it'll blow your mind.
Mhm. Let's go next one there, Holden. Okay, this is one of two photos I have of the Rialto Theater, because supposedly upstairs was the Olympic gym where the boxers used to train for the Golden Gloves. Is that correct?
Exactly. That's where all of them got. Ronald Jones, Arthur Jones used to go to that place and train.
What about Charlie Chase and
Charlie Chase trained.
and George Desmond? Who's George Desmond again?
Well, George Desmond, he was a street fighter. He was
Okay.
he was a street fighter. He didn't box, but he's a good street fighter.
I see.
He was
Next
older
one.
than me. He's my good friend, but he
You-
was a street fighter.
When I read your book, there's a lot of talk about that. It's not like you guys sought to fight on the street, in my
No.
mind.
No.
It was just that you wanted to demonstrate your capacity to defend yourselves.
Exactly. That's exactly how the capacity to defend myself.
Because there were quite a few bullies back there, weren't they?
Right, there were. So, and everybody was trying to develop themselves. Guys went to the Golden. I'm the only guy that didn't go into the Golden Club. Everybody else went. I went professional, but them guys all went to protect themselves. But at the same time, it was a thing to do. You got an image. Oh, he's in the Golden Club, and that was the most important thing about it. Is the image, and they stay away from you.
Next photo there, Holden. I found this. Can you turn this up? Because I couldn't find Jake's pool room.
Okay.
And supposedly this is like a bicycle gang, and I don't know. There's a salle de pool here, so I threw it in there, and it says cuisine italienne de repas complet. Does this fire off any memories for you?
Well, that looks like bikers and stuff. That looks like is that St. Denis or is that
No clue.
St. Lawrence, St. Denis?
No clue.
Because the Montreal pool didn't have no bikers, there was no thing like that.
Because I looked. The reason why I posted this image, Michael, is because I looked for Jake's pool room and I couldn't find anything, and I took a risk with this thing.
Okay, well you were close. Because Jake's pool is hard to find. It's not big as that. It's just a small, half that size. You wouldn't find it but it's a place where everybody went. Back in the day, Jake's pool room was very popular.
It was. Where was it located?
It was located on St. Antoine, across from Richmond Square.
Right, I should look that up and see what it looks like now. Let's go to the
across
next
from
photo there,
Richmond
Holden.
Square.
Yeah, that neighborhood
There we go.
Was taken over by the freeways.
It was taken over by the freeway.
So
it no longer exists.
what's
But this
this?
is more like
Oh, so Jake's pool room no longer exists. It's all gone.
no,
Oh, I know. I did look it up. Where Jake's pool room is now where the Bell Center is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. In that area. So this could be with the Windsor pool room. With all them tables like that, back to back.
That was Windsor?
The Windsor. It could be the Windsor.
Okay. I thought it was the Montreal pool room. That's not the
No,
Montreal?
not that. No, I don't know if that's that
big,
little
huh?
table's too big. See, it's too big. Me, it's half that size, maybe 6 tables. A lot of tables there.
But you didn't play pool, you played billiards, right? It's
No, I
different,
played
right?
pool. I played snooker. I
Okay.
played pool. I
Okay.
played pool. I was a snooker player. I didn't
Okay.
play 8-ball
Okay.
or 9-ball. I played snooker.
All right. Next photo
It
there.
was a
Holden?
snooker table. I think.
Okay, this is another photo of the Rialto, because I was really trying to get something that said Olympic Gym on it, and you can see there's nothing there. That's an older photo of the Rialto. You can see the
That there is
cars,
in the 50s. That's in the
20s, 30s, yeah.
20s, 30s. Right. It could be right. It could be in the 20s, 30s. Yeah.
Yeah. Next photo there,
But
Holden.
I didn't know that the Rialto was there that long.
Yeah.
But everybody
There.
went there.
You know what
There you
this
go.
is?
That's it. That's the big Rockhead's Paradise. That
Yeah.
was back way. That thing was really like little New York.
That was a black bar, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an all-black bar. Mr. Rockhead was famous for giving you a rose when you came to the door.
He was famous for giving you a what?
A rose,
A rose. I
carnation,
see.
or a rose. He gave every person that came in, every lady that came in, he would give them a rose. He was famous for that.
You were afraid to go to that bar because your dad went to that bar,
Exactly. I was scared. Yeah.
right?
Because I knew he was. Yeah. Him and my dad were very close friends. Mr. Rockhead and my dad, they both worked on the railroad, the CPR, CNR, and they were very close friends. They're both from Jamaica. They're both from the islands. And they got good. They went way back. They go way back in the early 40s, 30s, late 30s.
Next photo
He
there.
was famous for giving you a rose. This guy was perfect. He didn't smoke and he didn't drink. Imagine a guy owning a club that don't drink and don't smoke. That's right. That's amazing.
It sounds like a very good businessman, all things considered.
Yeah, he was an amazing businessman. Thank you. Thank you.
So is this bringing up memories, this photo here?
Yes, it does. The upstairs and the downstairs.
Of what club?
I don't know.
This is the Paradise Club again, right?
Yeah.
Same club, right?
Yeah.
Can we just like stop and kind of highlight how significant this club is to Montreal's music scene and culture? Because I don't think everyone just knows what it means.
Yeah.
You know what year that is? You don't know, eh?
No.
I mean, I'm not sure what year this is, but yeah.
It looks like the 70s because they got bell-bottom pants.
Yeah, the 60s.
60s, I would say early 70s.
Yeah, 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
That could be me in the corner there. I don't know.
Well, when you go through the image archive, like you would see advertisements for Little Harlem at the Paradise Club. You'd have acts coming in from New York City, and they would play at this club. And you had jazz acts as well. Like in the book, you talk about how you would listen to Nat King Cole, Miles Davis. What was her name? God help me. The woman.
Ella Fitzgerald.
Ella Fitzgerald. That's correct.
Ella Fitzgerald.
And
even Billie Holiday even stayed there when she went there one time. That's way back.
She played at the Paradise Club?
Yes, Billie Holiday came in way back in the day. Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Sammy Davis Jr. He was a steady there back in the day.
Okay. I just want to take a pause here and remind our audience that it's Trainman Report that's taking you back through history of Montreal. We're at the Rockhead Paradise Club, and it was the establishment that hosted acts like Billie Holiday. Ella Fitzgerald came and played here as well there, Michael.
Yes.
So really, this is cool stuff, man. This
establishment is one of the most culturally significant places, if I'm not mistaken, for Black culture in the city, hosting pretty much anybody back in the day, but also being one of the top entertainment establishments. I think it's in Little Burgundy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And it really just, like, you got to understand, like, this is like, you know how, for those watching it that are involved in modern musical conversations that complain about the lack of celebrity and talent and culture, this is the opposite of that. This is everything that was happening in Montreal, making it a culturally relevant and interesting spot. I've heard some stories that there was all kinds of sin and debauchery that took place in this building and establishment, entertaining people of all calibers throughout the ages, and is really just a huge part of our history that should be highlighted because, you know, it helped put Montreal on the map, so to speak. Like, there probably wouldn't be a jazz fest without this building.
And not forgetting Oscar Peterson.
Facts.
He was really,
Yeah,
really good.
you know, and
Sorry.
I think we
Did
lost
Alex freeze on us? Oh, Alex did freeze on us. He just started talking and then he froze. Let's see if he comes back very quickly. Or not. That's fair. I guess
and
in the...
before I read
he's
your
back.
book,
Alex is back. Yes, you had frozen on us, Alex.
Not,
Oh, you
not
froze on
forgetting
us
how
again. Come on, Alex. Come back to us. Don't do this to us. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go to the next picture while Alex unfreezes. Which, let's see if this brings back more memories.
oh, okay. Oh my God.
There you are. You're back with us, Alex?
Ah, fantastic. Okay, next picture. Oh yeah, this is another picture. So I was in the last before I got caught off, I was just making the very shameful admission that before I read this book, right, Life's Undercard. Let's zoom into that so all the listeners can see it again, which a book you need to buy, of course. Before I read this book, I did not know about the Rockhead Paradise bar. So I'm embarrassed, but now I've been redeemed because I read the book. let's go to
good.
the next picture there, Holden. Okay, the reason why I included these photos. Do you know what this photo is, Michael?
Yeah, it's horses, man. Anything that has horses.
But there's some. This is part of Shawbridge.
Yes, yes, I remember because I used to take the horse into Saint Jerome.
Yeah.
I used to take on the milk truck. And
So next photo there, because that's part of a series of photos there, Holden. There we go. Does this mean anything to you? This building?
yeah, it looks familiar. Where is it?
It told me it was Shawbridge.
Sawbridge, yeah. That's about way back. That's way back.
Yeah.
That
Next
was in the
photo.
fall.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is because you unfortunately had a run-in with juvie court, and you ended up at Shawbridge. That's correct, right? That's in the book, right? Yeah. Yeah.
This is
So
it here. That's it.
And I remember when I was a young man, Shawbridge was still an institution in existence, and
Yeah.
we all collectively lived in fear of of going to Shawbridge because of like the shit we did.
Yeah. Exactly. And it was a no. It wasn't a right.
But listening to your reading the book, it seems to me that it was not a completely. It was a pretty positive experience for you. Like people treated you respect there. Is that a correct statement? Or
Yeah, because I was able to defend myself. Yeah.
I see. So it all came down to that. If you couldn't defend yourself, your life there would have been miserable. Is that
Yeah,
what
and
you're
I
saying?
was in big trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, plus,
And were there kids there that were miserable because they couldn't defend themselves?
oh yeah, they were very miserable. They ran away. They scared.
But you ran away.
I ran away because I was fed up. I didn't like being I couldn't. Yeah, I did it just through being angry. See, I was a young delinquent.
Right.
I was a juvenile delinquent
Yeah, I can understand that. When I
at
was a
that
young
time.
man, I was very angry.
Yeah.
Next photo there, Holden. So we're back at Rockhead's Paradise Cafe.
Yeah, that's the longest bar in all of Montreal. The longest bar. I never had a bar that long.
And this is the owner here.
That's the owner. That's Mr. Rockhead. Mr. Rufus Rockhead.
It's a nice bar. Very nice bar.
He's a good-looking guy.
Look at all the ashtrays and the remember back in the day when you
Yeah.
smoked in bars?
He was well known. He was international. They came from all over the world to see him.
Next photo
He
there.
was international.
Oh, here, this is another picture of horses. It should have been with the other horses, with the reading of your horse riding.
Yeah.
These are the police officers, your best friends.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
But is this how the police officers looked in your day?
Yeah, they used to come on. They used to come on the horse. But that's when I was a kid. That's when I was like 8 years old, 7 years old. That's when they used to come on horseback. They used to police the area, the poverty area, on horseback, just like that.
Oh, they used to patrol your neighborhood on horses like that.
Yes, Alex. Yes.
If it counts,
Back in the day.
Alex, they still do that in poverty areas in 2024. That hasn't stopped. There is a horse
There you
division
go.
of the SPVM, and like my mom lives next to Amma Bay, which for those who don't know is one of those, let's say, lower income housing areas, and they
Right.
absolutely deploy the horse cops to Amma Bay and other areas because it is a very convenient way of surveying the area through intimidation with horses.
Well, I will say that I did see the horses in NEG. So I saw them on the corner, you know where Loyola High School is and Concordia University there. They're right over there. And I asked them, they were two women police officers. And I asked them why they were there with their horses. They just said that they do patrols randomly throughout the city. And that day they were in NEG. So I don't know. Is NEG a poor area? Maybe
I think
not.
it's more the regularity of which areas get patrolled, whereas it might be a novelty in NDG. It's more of a regular thing in other areas.
Fair enough. So is that it for the pictures?
Yeah,
I'm not
there's
sure.
the figure.
Oh,
Reminds
there's
me
the
back in the
palace.
day.
I found this. Is this anything memory there?
St. Catherine Street, that's right.
Right?
And the Palace Theater,
You can see Lowe's in the distance.
right,
see
from
it?
the distance, and the Capitol.
The Capitol was a theater as well.
Yeah, the Capitol was the theater as well. And then you had there's another one they called the Strand, the Strand. But these movies I used to go to. There's a couple of them I used to go to in the back door. I used to bring my kid brother, and we'd sneak in the back door. These are the one with the Lowe's and the Capitol. We used to sneak in the back door with Jimmy the door, open it and go in the back and watch the whole movie.
All right, next photo there. Are we done? Oh, I put this in. This is Walensky's.
All right, I remember that.
Can you go to the next photo because there's a better photo of it. There we go.
Yeah, I remember that. That's not too. What's his name? Just lived around the corner from there. The Jewish guy, the writer.
Leonard Cohen.
No, not Leonard Cohen.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Mordecai Richter.
Mordecai
Richter lived just up the road from me. Mordecai, I didn't know that, but he just lived up the road on St. Urban Street.
And this store is still open. The restaurant is still open.
It's still open. The Walensky's is still open. But this really brings back memories. That's way back in the day. So me and Martin went in there, and we had a couple of fried bologna sandwiches. And that was a specialty. That was a specialty.
So their specialty was fried bologna sandwiches.
Sandwiches at that time.
Okay, I have to ask the question, Michael. Did you ever get any of those for free?
No. I had to pay. I was good at getting it for free, though. I was a survivor. I was good at getting it for free.
Alrighty, next photo there. Is there any more or is that it?
That is the end of the photos.
All right. So I guess, the big question I have to ask you at this point, Michael, is so you're like you've lived in that. You lived in the 40s and 50s. You saw, you know Montreal, yesteryear.
I knew it off by heart.
But like I just have this question because I'm curious, right? For perspective, living in today's world, living in today's Montreal, compared to the 40s and 50s when you were a young boy, right?
Yes.
What do you like? What are the biggest differences in your mind between now and then?
Well, it's like night and day. You see, the people at that time, a lot of poverty was high, very high in poverty.
I see.
Nobody had nothing. Everything was, we're eating from hand to mouth. We were spoon fed. and were living on severe poverty. So everybody stuck together. There was no color thing there too much. Now it's like night and day between then and now. People would look out for you. They wouldn't see you get hurt, and they would protect each other. But it's not like today. Today it's a rat race. They have the race. The race thing is very still exists, and at a higher level. The rate the racism is at a higher level, but it's not like back in the day. In the day they had it, but it was different. It was like night and day. It was completely different in my area anyway. And there's we're talking about the red light district. I used to run around there and nobody bothered me. In and out, I run in one door, out the other, and out the back door.
Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned today, it's different. Like, is there same level of poverty? Because Little Burgundy and Griffintown is gentrified in a lot of different ways. Do you see that?
Well, yeah, because you were talking about condos and all that in a district like Griffintown. We had all dilapidated buildings and cold water flats.
Right. And can you tell everybody what a cold water flat is? Because I don't think people know what that is.
Cold water flat is a building that you have no electricity.
Right.
And it's all cold water. You had to boil the water to get it hot.
And this was in the 30s and the 40s.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cold water flats.
And does that exist anymore? No, right?
Well, no, I don't think so. Very few. If they do exist,
if they do, they're violating building codes right now.
And you had no electricity, so it was all what? You had lamps and candles, and you cooked on gas.
Yes. We had oil lamps for the street. The street lights, the street lamps were oil lamps. We used to light them up. We used to pull a string, and there's a horse and buggy, horse and cart would go along. And it was a horse and cart with oil lamps, and they would light them up after a certain time.
They were oil or they were sour gas?
There were oil lamps. Oil.
And how would they fill up these lamps? The horse and buggy would fill them up with oil?
Horse and buggy, right. They would come along and they would do them individually. They would light them up individually.
And this was in the 30s and the 40s?
Yes, it was.
You saw this when you were a young boy?
Yes, I saw that when I was a boy. I experienced that as a young boy.
And they had a lot of...
It fascinated me how they used to do that.
And there was a string. That means they would be... Who would light them? People just walking on the street would light the lamp, or...
No, it would be the guy on the horse. The lamp guy. They call him the lamp guy. He would light it himself. He would pull the string. He would pull on the string, and the lamp would go up, and then he'd tie it, and he'd go to the next one, to the next lamp.
And he did that every day?
Every day.
It would turn off automatically in the morning, or he
no. He'd come back and he'd do the same thing. They had a routine, At a certain time they would light, and they would put the lamp up.
I see.
And go from pole to pole. It was fascinating the way they used to do that. That was way back in the day. We're talking 48, 49.
Right.
47, 48, 49. The early 50s.
Alrighty. So the thing, about your book is that it's like the first half of your life there, Michael.
Yeah.
When is the second volume showing up? Because
that should be that's going to come in the next between 3 and 5 years.
Because here you are.
A kid.
You're how old are you on the cover of this book right now?
I'm 75.
How old are you now?
I'm now 84.
84.
Yeah.
So here you are getting your high school.
You're
graduating from 75 with honors.
Yeah.
And in the back of the book, it talks about how you struggled with you went to prison, you struggled with addiction, And it talks about how you got into boxing as well, and you went down to the States, right? Is that
right? Yeah, I got into professional boxing, right?
But none of that is covered in this book, sir. Are you trying to tempt us, like grab us, and like, okay, you got the first book, and you're like,
yeah. Well, it's coming. This was coming with between 3 and 5 years.
And are you going to tell us, like, I was talking to
Tell it all. Tell everything.
Are you going to tell everything? I was talking to Joe, and I said, well, what happened to Doreen Rice? Because you kind of ended there, and very like, she was pregnant. Her husband died. You went to prison for joyriding automobiles.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about the book is, when you read it, you never think, oh, you shouldn't do that. Nah, it just felt natural, like it was like something to do, right? And I know like it was a terrible thing to say, but that's how I felt when I read the book, and it almost it was predetermined that you would do something like that, and it was strange that way. And I had a lot of empathy for you in the sense that you weren't, when you went to jail, I was like, should we send a guy like that to jail? He's not hurting anybody. It's
tell them that. You got to tell the judge.
Yeah. But I guess everybody back in the day went to jail for like jacking cars, right?
Right.
So that was it, right?
Yeah, but there was definitely empathy there. Yeah.
Because you went to juvie court a couple of times, and the judge was like, okay, you didn't run away. He gave you chances, right?
Yeah, he gave me a lot of chances.
Yeah.
But he got tired after a while.
Yeah.
Like all of us.
Yeah. And there's Geezer, there's Ziggy, there's Egghead, and there's Tiny, and there's Martin. What happened to them? I'm like, the story's not done.
Yeah. But they're younger than me, but a lot of them are not gone. They're no longer with us. They're gone.
Yeah, but what I'm most concerned about right now, Michael Montague, is that you're in your mid 80s now. 84, did you say?
84, right?
Like, you got to tell the story before I don't want to sound fatalistic.
The man said he's going to give you the next book in 3 to 5 years, and it's coming.
Yeah, you better get
Alex.
To work, sir, because
he's getting to work. He just told you he's working.
All right.
What's coming?
All right.
I don't know what else he could get out of him. He said it's coming.
Giddy up. I need it. I need that book. I'm like on the seat. I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm like, huh? I told my wife, what? That's not fair. That's not fair.
I still see Doreen. We're almost girlfriend, boyfriend again. I still see her again. She's over in Mount Royal. She's in the retirement home in Mount Royal. She's in her 90s.
You should definitely maybe get some, content from her. That would be an interesting.
Doreen is in her 90s.
Yeah.
And I should be able to get her. I'm going to see her this spring. It's amazing. Right. She's the only one that's still around. All the other guys are younger than me, and they're gone.
Michael, spring is here, man. It's right. just saying. So everybody's clear, okay? All right. So I think that this book is a celebration of you, Michael, your story, your life story. And it's also a celebration of Joe. I understand that Joe is a volunteer at a retirement residence, and he decided to get involved in this project and helped you out with the writing.
That was great. Most definitely.
Actually, I have to say, to be proper about this and give credit where credit's due, I was volunteering at the Tyndale St. George Community Center in Little Burgundy, where Michael grew up and where he lives now.
I see.
And that community center is really a vital part of that part of the city.
Right.
And that's where we met. That's where we started writing the book. And I think maybe this summer we should try to have like a book launch at the community center.
I think that's a great idea. And Joe is an NDGer, so it's important to point that out. And Michael, I'm not saying that we like Joe better than you are because he's from NDG, but we like him better because he's from NDG. Sorry.
I believe you.
Bad joke. Sorry.
That's fantastic.
And the other big news is tomorrow evening, Tula. Do I have her book here? This is the French version. So Tula Monis is actually having a book launch tomorrow. She's launching her new book on asylum. It's a book talking about asylum seekers in Quebec. And once again, her book, The Others, talks about her Greek immigrant father and the immigrant experience. And there was a lot of parallels between her book and your book, Michael. So maybe you guys can come down to the book opening tomorrow. And I'm going to be also inviting Tula to the screening of What We Choose to Remember. And so she can promote her book. And hopefully we can get a couple of authors with some Montreal-based books to promote their books. I think that would be great. Very cool.
Sure.
It would add a lot of interest to the event. And
Sure.
I guess I want to end the show by sharing with us this piece of history, because I think it's critical that we remember these things. And we're really blessed, Michael, to have you here and sharing your stories and going through the photos and bringing a real human connection to it all.
My pleasure.
And I want to thank you very much sincerely. I'll be presumptuous and thank you from all Montrealers, and especially from people from NDG, of course, because we are an NDG show. And thank you, Joe, for volunteering your time and meeting Michael and making that relationship work and helping him write this book. And
Yes.
the book is available for sale. You can buy it on, I believe, Amazon, right?
Yep.
Holden, we're going to list the
All
link
the
for
links
that.
will be in description. Just go to the description, you'll find the links.
Excellent. So thank you so much. Thanks to everybody for joining us. And I pass you to Holden, our gracious host.
So thanks everyone for watching today. We appreciate all the people live on all the different platforms. Make sure to tell your friends about the show. That's really important. It's the best way that we can grow. So if you're watching this and you're still here, though, like 8 or 9 of you across different things, and all of you tell a friend, we can get that many more people following the Trainman Report. Given it's a very super local NDG based thing, the only way this thing's going to grow is if NDG tells NDG and the peripheries about it, and then we can kind of highlight more people. So if you want to come on the show and talk about whatever your life, what you're up to, being an NDG person in some capacity or another, or working with an NDG person to write a book, however it may manifest, definitely let us know. And we want to turn the Trainman Report into a bigger community show so that we can really be that platform that everyone wants but everyone says doesn't exist. But to have that, y'all have to work with us to tell your friends. And also let us know who you think should be on the show. Start tagging people. Be like, you should go on the Trainman Report and all that good stuff. Most importantly, buy the book. I'm a voracious reader, and it is really cool to have people from our city write stuff. We don't get a lot of credit for that, especially in English. So when you have English content created in this city, it is our obligation to highlight it and share it with the world so people know we exist. Otherwise, we're just going to be labeled as that French place in Canada for the rest of our lives. And it's only partially true. We are also that English place within the French place,
I can interrupt just briefly here, Holden. Next Tuesday, we're having Guy Rex Rogers on the show. He is the director producer of What We Choose to Remember. Am I pronouncing that right? I hope so. Right. Screening What We Choose to Remember. Correct. Sorry. And he'll be on the show and he'll be talking about the film and the screening NEG, and we'll be continuing this historical trend on the Trainman Report.
Right.
Back to you.
So that'll be fun. Definitely also let us know what other kind of content you want to see us cover and whatnot. We're not limited to anything. It's just whoever we have on the show, and we try to embrace the world of it and let you know how broad NDG is. But it is really fun to explore the past because, let's be real, there wasn't social media back then documenting everything. We can watch everything in NDG change from 2005 till today, real time. You can get it year over year. But you can't really find the past that easily.
I have to say that we do have a preference for trains.
I like the preference for trains.
I like your outfit, by the way.
But I should note, Holden, no pickles, no
Yeah.
pickles, no pickles on this show.
No. But so yeah, definitely follow, subscribe, leave some comments, let some people know. Thank you again, Joe and Mike, for coming through and sharing with us. It was great to have you with us. Appreciate everyone one more time, and live long and prosper everyone.